All right, let's jump right in. We often think of coming home as the end of the story, right? The credits roll. But in the ancient account of Jacob's return to Canaan, the arrival is actually just the beginning of the real test. This isn't just a story about a physical journey. It's a really deep look at purpose, identity, and what it truly means to complete a mission.
So that really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is coming home ever truly the end of the journey? Jacob's story suggests that, well, arriving at your destination is one thing, but fulfilling the purpose of your return, that's a whole other ballgame.
And to understand all this, we're going to use this really powerful interpretive lens, a Hebrew principle called Maseh Avo Siman Lebanim. What it means is the actions of the fathers are sign for the sons. The idea here is that these ancient stories aren't just dusty old history. Nope, they're a blueprint, a kind of map of challenges and spiritual dynamics that just keep repeating throughout time.
So let's see how this blueprint actually plays out. Jacob's first major challenge is his reunion with his estranged brother, Esau. And this is so much more than just some family drama. It's a symbolic clash of two completely different worldviews.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Just look at the contrast here. Jacob's wealth is in livestock. It's mobile, it's flexible. It represents an abstract kind of spiritual kind of power. Esau, on the other hand, is all about landed power, physical territory, and material force. It is the classic confrontation, spirit versus matter.
And Esau isn't coming alone for a quiet chat. He arrives with 400 men. 400! That number isn't just a random detail. It's a show of overwhelming physical force. It's the material world flexing its muscles, and it's a very tangible threat to Jacob's spiritual mission. Faced with this massive threat, what does Jacob do? He prays. But listen to his words. He doesn't arrogantly lean on God's past promises. He says, I am unworthy. He approaches this moment with total humility, basically acknowledging that divine protection isn't an entitlement. You have to seek it right here, right now. This leads to one of the most mysterious and pivotal moments in the entire story, Jacob's all-night struggle. This is the moment where he truly solidifies his new identity. He finds himself in this bizarre wrestling match, and not with just some guy, but with a celestial being, often seen as the spiritual guardian of Esau himself. The struggle is intense, lasting the entire night, right up until the sun starts to rise. And here's the result. At the end of it all, Jacob gets not just a blessing, but a new name, Israel. And the reason is spelled out right here. For you have striven with God and with men, and have prevailed. That name is basically a trophy for his spiritual victory.
But victory comes at a price. He walks away with a permanent limp, and this is such a key insight. That limp symbolizes just how hard it is to bring a high spiritual ideal down into the messy, physical, political world. To make truth real on the ground, you might have to become a little lame in practical terms. It's a permanent reminder of that struggle.
So after overcoming these huge external and internal challenges, you'd think he's in the clear. But then Jacob makes a critical error. He takes a detour, and this fateful stop in the city of Shechem, well, it has devastating consequences.
See, years before, when he was fleeing for his life, Jacob had made a specific vow to God. He promised that if he returned safely, he would build an altar at a very specific place, Bethel. But now he's back, and he doesn't go there. He stops short and settles near Shechem instead.
So what's the big deal? At Shechem, Jacob does build an altar, but it's an altar that recognizes God in a sort of universal, generic sense. Bethel, though, that was about fulfilling a specific, personal vow at a divinely appointed site. He basically substituted a general act of worship for a very specific, sacred obligation.
So what's the consequence of this delay, of taking the spiritual shortcut? The story makes a powerful and direct link between this failure and the tragedy that's about to unfold.
The ancient commentary of the Midrash Tanhuma just states it bluntly. Because Jacob made a vow and didn't fulfill it, the horrific tragedy involving his daughter Dinah came upon him. That unfulfilled sacred duty created a kind of spiritual vacuum, a vulnerability that led directly to disaster.
It's only after this crisis, after hitting rock bottom, that Jacob is finally spurred to complete his original mission, the return to Bethel to fulfill his sacred vow.
In the wake of the tragedy, God steps in directly. It's no longer just a suggestion or a memory of a vow. It's a direct command to get back on the path he was supposed to be on all along.
And here we see the steps to finally make things right. First, there's the explicit command from God. Second, a spiritual purification. Jacob tells his family to get rid of their foreign idols. Third, the fulfillment. He actually goes to Bethel and builds the altar he promised. And this leads to the fourth step, completion. The spiritual purpose of his return is finally realized, securing his family's place in the land.
So what does this whole epic story teach us? It isn't just about Jacob. It's about the true nature of any significant homecoming.
This really gets to the heart of it all. Physical return is just the start. Arriving is the easy part. A true, lasting homecoming only happens when the deeper spiritual purpose of that return is fulfilled. Without it, the arrival is hollow and, as we've seen, even dangerous.
And this brings us right back to where we started. Maaseh Avot Siman Lebanim. Jacob's story becomes the blueprint. It teaches that when a specific, sacred mission is neglected, it creates a void, a vulnerability. And if we don't address it ourselves, history has a way of forcing the issue, often tragically.
So, to sum it all up, what have we learned? First, homecoming is a process, not just a single event of arrival. Second, those specific sacred commitments, they are absolutely essential. Third, fulfilling our spiritual purpose is what provides real moral and national resilience. And finally, the past isn't just the past. It offers a map for navigating our own challenges right here and now.
Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Whether it's for a person, a community, or a nation, what truly makes a homecoming complete? Is it just the arrival, or is it the fulfillment of the mission that prompted the journey in the first place?